Energy. Welcome everyone to the Quarter Twins. This is the only podcast where your hosts are 25%, 100%, exactly the same person. We are sons of twins. That makes us cousins and also quarter twins. And today on Quarter Twins, I am joined as always by my co-host, the savant of the silver screen, Joshua.
Everybody keeps telling me, Joshua, when are you going to give it up? You're a failure. And I keep saying, I don't even care, man.
And the champion of cinema himself, myself,
Whoa.
Jordan. Women are awesome. I'm a huge fan of women. Thumbs up to women.
Jordan.
I don't know how I feel about my first name, you guys. Jordan? It's just weird. I have a weird
It's
time
your
saying
dad's
it out
name.
loud.
But with a jor in the front.
Exactly.
So think about that.
If this is your first time here, we talk about movies.
That
And
we do.
Today we're taking our first steps towards real bona fide cinema bros. Okay? We are starting film school together.
That's
what
right.
I mean by that is there is a list on an amazing service called Letterboxd. Letterboxd,
what a
call me.
service. Call us.
He has compiled a list of old movies everyone loves and have been influential to the fabric of cinema. Milestones, if you will. So every time we record from now on, Joshua and I are going to have watched one of these movies. And the interesting thing about this, guys, it's never been done.
Whoa.
Is in the past, every time Joshua and I have seen a movie since we've had Letterboxd, we watch a movie, we instantly log it, star it, review it.
Yep.
So by the time we get here, I already kind of know what you think about a movie. You know what I
Right.
think about a movie. We've already kind of had discourse
done
about
it.
it in the comments.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel as fun. But now for the first time ever, Joshua and I have both watched Seven Samurai, and we have not started or reviewed it.
Right.
Either of us. So I have no idea if Joshua likes this movie, if he even finished it. I assume he did.
I've
he
seen
logged it,
all
at
of
least.
it.
I've seen all 3.5 hours of it as well. I can tell you that right now. It felt like 12 days. In a good way.
Spoiler alert.
Or a bad way.
Who knows?
Who knows? So we're going to get to that. But we also, there's been a lot of time in between episodes lately. We have lots of stuff to catch up on. So
Yes.
what we're looking at here is we're going to have a segment of Letterboxd catch up where we rapid fire things we've been watching, logging on Letterboxd, lots to talk about, and then we have some new releases to talk about. We have Gladiator 2 and Wicked, the movie of the year, to talk about, and then we're gonna finish up.
We've had
film
2 movies
school.
of the year this year.
Yeah, it's been a long year. We're nearing the end.
What a year.
The film school segment will be at the end. I will start doing time codes again, or one of us.
Oh my
will.
gosh.
So because I feel like we're gaining traction. I feel like we are.
I will say you, the listener, even may recall a time when we were hitting hundreds. We had multiple videos, not even just the shorts. We had multiple videos hitting 1,000 views. Back when we said something positive about Star Wars, and the haters came a-running.
Yeah.
We should probably do some Skeleton Crew episode where we're like, Skeleton Crew is fun and good. And then people will be like, I hate you! I'll kill you! This is your IP address, I know where you live. And we'll be like, raking in the views. That's all we need to do.
That's how you do it.
So that's exciting. But
on YouTube.
but from this, I had a point, if I recall. The views before that, averaging 20, 10, 8, 12, something around there. But now, after that, we've gone like this. We've gone like this. Here. And it goes like this.
Yeah.
And then it went
plateau.
And it went right back down. But it's a little bit higher than it was before.
Yeah.
And so we just need
we
to...
just got to keep doing that.
We'll plug along, and maybe, hopefully, the peaks are higher and the plateaus don't fall as far, and we can kind of sort of build this fun little thing, staircase.
The wave.
And in 30 years, we might be averaging 1,000 views. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
Because we're never going to stop. Everybody keeps telling me, Joshua, when are you going to give it up? You're a failure. And I keep saying, I don't even care, man. It's not about success.
Yeah.
It's about getting together with my film bro, the champion of cinema, right? And we're getting together, and we're talking about how we hate each other's guts because we don't agree on anything anymore. And that's what we're here to discuss today. Let's get to it.
We've drifted apart. Let's just be honest about it. We've we've got as close. Like we've gotten so close. The closest we've ever been as far as our friendship, our relationship as cousins.
Indeed.
But as we've gotten closer in like in that way, we've drifted further and further apart from the things we enjoy and our opinions on movies and TV shows.
I hate it.
I don't know how it's possible.
And I hate
I don't know
him.
how it's possible. I hate this guy. There is the one thing that I think is really important that we talk about is the Interstellar 10th anniversary re-release.
Oh.
We need to talk about this. We have to talk about this right off the jump.
Right off the rip.
Give me your experience with whatever this is. Going to the theater. Did you see it in IMAX? I think you had to, right? It was only in IMAX.
I saw it in 70 mil.
Did you really?
IMAX.
You got to see the 70 millimeter?
That's right.
That's
so
exciting.
let's go back to July 2014, even.
Yeah.
I was not privy to like the Christopher Nolan of it all. I don't know, like I never saw The Prestige or Insomnia or The Dark Knight. Like that wasn't already in my category, my catalog, if even.
Sure.
I liked spaceships. I liked Star Wars. I like Marvel movies. And my sister was like, "Hey, let's go see this movie with a spaceship in it. Everybody's talking about it." And I was like, "All right." And like you said in your recent review, it came out a changed man.
Yeah.
It was like all my life I was like, "Oh, Star Wars my favorite." And that was all there was. And then I was like, after this, from that day, it has been my favorite movie, like immediate. And so I would change my answer to, well, Star Wars is my favorite series, but Interstellar is my favorite movie. So it has been number one for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so earlier this year, I don't remember when, sometime, there was like the actual 10-year anniversary, and I saw Interstellar in theaters on standard whatever, but they delayed the IMAX re-release because of whatever else was in IMAX at the time,
right,
in July, until December, when they're like, let's cut into Wicked screen time. And
for real.
They took
Moana 2.
Yeah, they took one weekend, and they said, let's hit number 5 in the box office.
Yeah.
For one weekend. Let's just get Christopher Nolan. He needs a vacation. Let's get him
He really does.
Let's pay him up a vacation. Matthew McConaughey needs some residuals.
Yeah, he really does.
And
they had to buy more screens. They extended the because people were lining up at the gates.
Let me in.
Curtains moving out. Yeah,
let us
into Interstellar. They had to do some stuff. You could buy some more screens. Push Moana 2 out completely from the rotation.
It's a TV show anyway.
So you got to see it in 70 millimeter.
Yeah.
Tell me about the theater experience for you.
Oh, man.
Now 10 years in the future, 2024.
So I remember, first off, shout out to my sister for taking me. She cried for 3 hours, or however long Interstellar is. Hans Zimmer. I remember that, I don't remember a ton of theater experiences. The individual experience, I remember watching the movie, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, I remember being in the theater there that day, going home in the Honda Accord, right?
Yeah.
But today, this year, recently, a couple days ago, we went and saw Interstellar, and I knew it was releasing, and I knew the tickets were available, and I was like, I'll get those tickets when I get them. It'll be fine, and I'll be okay. Right. And so it is, Friday, the week before the release. And I'm sitting playing Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm like, hey, guys, we should get tickets for Interstellar. And Matt was like, okay. You know Matt, he's been on the podcast, but you weren't there, so you haven't met.
I wasn't there.
He doesn't like you. He has beef with you over Transformers 1. It's his favorite movie of the year. So
I know. That's awesome for him, man. I'm not trying to take that away.
I just hate it.
I just thought it was a mid snooze.
Oof. Snooze.
Nap
That's a
time.
tough one. That's a tough one, guys. But we went, and so we buy the tickets, right? And I open up Regal, and it does the little flourish of showing you the tickets, and the entire back section of the theater is full. Not a single seat remaining. The back, or the front section, there's 5 rows. The 2 in the back of the 5 are full. So I had to get a seat on the side of the aisle in the 3rd row.
Whoa.
So
That's
imagine,
crazy.
if you will, the largest screen there is from this angle.
Yes.
So there was that, which was a little bit unlucky that I was apparently so late to getting my ticket. But it didn't matter.
To see it in 70 millimeter, there were only, I think there were less than 10 like locations showing it in 70 millimeter. So that was a hot item.
I suppose. I suppose. So it was, but it was like seeing the movie for the first time. You sit there and it's loud and it's immersive.
So loud.
And
Lord.
And Hans Zimmer fell asleep on the organ, and it's just so beautiful. It's just what a film.
Really is.
What a film.
What a film. I saw it in IMAX in 2014. Mentioned in my review. Stuffed a burrito into my hoodie. Took it in there. Saw this movie. Came out a changed man. Changed person. A new brain. I grew up in that moment. And then I never had it as like my favorite film. I think I've said in the past, like, Interstellar is up in my favorites, but it's like, it's pretty hard science fiction, like, rather than science fantasy, which I gravitate towards, like Blade Runner 2049 and Star Wars. But yeah, seeing Interstellar in IMAX in the year 2024, I walked out a changed man yet again. I said I did not anticipate the effect that this was gonna have on me, and I went with my friend Elisha, who's also been on the pod.
Yes,
he came to visit for a day, and we watched 4 movies on Saturday and 2 movies on Sunday. I think.
Golly,
just a weekend of movies. It was crazy. 3 of those were in the theater. Dream. The guy that took our tickets all 3 times was like, by the end of it, he was like, "What are you guys doing? Like, why are you doing this to yourselves?"
How much popcorn did you eat?
I mean, I only had one thing of popcorn. I snuck in some peach rings to one of them. We took a Taco Bell break.
Nice.
Okay, but fair enough. There's so much about Interstellar that, like, it's the moments that I never think about outside of context. And then when I'm watching the movie, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is just like all the moments with Coop and Murph and their father-daughter dynamic from the beginning of the movie to the end. Obviously culminating in the end where he meets her at her incredibly old age.
Oh.
And she says the line where he's like, "How did you know I would come back?" And she goes, "Because my dad promised me." I'm like, wow.
You're like, oh no.
I teared up so many times watching this movie again. Yeah, just incredible. I moved it up to my number 1 favorite movie of all time. I'm
Let's
gonna
go!
see how it feels up there. We're
Come
gonna see how it
on!
feels. But I'm pretty sure this might be my favorite movie at this point in my life.
We'll have to rewatch Blade
It's
Runner and just
incredible. Yeah.
see if the vibes are
I know,
enough.
like, I watched Blade Runner this year too, and I still love it and could call it my favorite movie. But part of it is like there's so many people that say Interstellar is their favorite movie. I'm like, I don't want to be.
You don't want to be part
just
of
go
it.
along with the crowd, you know.
Yeah.
But boy, was it good.
Yeah. There's a reason it's everybody's favorite movie. It's because it's the best movie.
It's the best movie ever made. Is it? The question must be asked. Is Christopher Nolan the best director living among us? Who knows?
I think there's a top 2 in the director category right now.
Okay.
Maybe a top 3 if you want to throw in Greta Gerwig into that mix. I'm a big fan. I need to see more of her stuff. But Denis Villeneuve. I gotta say,
my guy.
Those guys, those 3 right there. Chris, Denis. I like Greta as well.
What about Snack Snyder? One of the. Okay, so let's get through some of this Letterboxd stuff.
Before we talk about how we hate each other on the Gladiator set, I have another film.
I don't even know how it could be. I don't know how this is happening right now.
It's crazy. I want to talk about We Live in Time briefly, if we could.
Yeah. That's something we have to talk about.
Yeah. So Jordan watches this movie in theaters when it came out, blah, blah, blah. Gives it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Yeah. This is a near perfect movie for him.
Yeah. I didn't even review it, really.
The reviews are flooding in. The reception is positive. Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh are the hottest people in Hollywood. It's a whole thing. They're cute.
It's true.
They're doing the Hollywood cute banter where they just make fun of each other and then go, "Oh, okay." You know, it's annoying in that way. I'm tired of that flirting that everybody does all the time. So I've set high expectations. I watched Anora, Best Picture prospect. And I said in the review, I was looking for the Dune killer, and instead I think I'm gonna like We Live in Time more. I gave that movie 4 stars. So we're looking at a 4.5 star, maybe even a 5 star, a past lives situation, right?
Yeah.
And I watch We Live in Time, and it sucked. I did not like it at all. It was one of the great
2.5, right? Is
one of the disappointments of my greatest life.
Yeah, did you give it 2.5? Is that correct?
I believe.
Or did you give it even less than that?
I think 2.5 is correct. Yes.
It's insanity, guys. He's losing his mind.
This movie, We Live in Time. Let me set you up real quick, okay? So we have 2 people who meet each other, fall in love, but actually are not compatible in any way, shape, or form in how they exist and how they live and what they want to do with their lives, right?
Sure.
Florence Pugh, Ingrid, what's her name? Abellis? Almet. She is this competitive, outgoing, insatiable, ambitious chef that wants to see the world and hates children and wants to cook professionally and compete in the Ballon d'Or, whatever it's called, the Balabouche.
Yeah, the Goblet of Fire. Yes.
The Bacouche d'Or or something like that, I think. And
sounds right. The Bacouche d'Or.
I don't know what it is. But it's like the World Cup of cooking, basically.
Yeah.
And she wants to represent England. And so she meets Weetabix worker, data analyst or something, Andrew Garfield, hits him with his car. and they talk to each other and they get dinner afterwards because I guess Florence Pugh is so insanely hot that you can get hit by her car and still want to go out on a date with her, which I suppose is true.
Yeah.
And so they meet and get it on, and then they get it on shortly thereafter. And then they have a conversation about their exes. And this is the thing. This is it right here. Andrew is very forward, his character, named Tobias. He says, hey, I broke up with my last girlfriend because she didn't want kids, and I did. And then Almet's like, oh, I don't want kids. And he's like, oh, okay. And then she's like, and I hate you, F you. Why would you even ask me that? You know how I feel about that because of my ex, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, in my opinion, an insane overreaction. Just my opinion.
Sure.
And he walks out of there and he's like, that's whatever. And I'm thinking, it's the end of the movie, guys. They found out, they wanted different things. Sort of a Monica Richards situation for my friends' viewers.
That is accurate, yes.
And, they get back together at one point, and then they're like, well, we still want different things, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Then Andrew is like, you know what? Screw it. Florence Pugh. And he's like, I'll just get her pregnant, and then we'll see what happens. And so Florence Pugh gets pregnant, and then she's like, you know what? Fine, I do want to have a child. And then she attempts to abandon her family by cooking in this Bacouche d'Or, or whatever it's called. And then now he's like, what the heck? You're abandoning your family you're lying to us about this and that, and you won't pick up your daughter from school, and you gave birth in a gas station, blah, 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 which was the only good scene in the movie, mind you.
It's a great scene.
And she's just like, you know what? You're right. I'm going to give up on my life's dream and walk out of here and go ice skating with my family. And so now she's not happy, and she's stuck in this domestic life that she doesn't want, or has just decided she does want, even though she probably would have. It just seemed, I was disappointed, no, that's fair. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, man. It just it felt like and the whole format of this movie, by the way, we haven't mentioned, is that it's sort of pulling an Oppenheimer, where we're jumping back and forth through time, leapfrogging to try to explain decisions that characters are making as we go along. And it just felt so unnecessary to me. If we told this story chronologically, I might have liked it more.
That's fair.
And part of the reason for that is that we never, the characters are changing throughout this story. The world is different, the before cancer, after cancer, back and forth. We're meeting these characters over and over again at different points in their life and not feeling this growth over time.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm watching episodes of a TV show randomly throughout a season, back and forth. Yeah. And so I never felt connected to either character, and this is the biggest flaw for me. So somebody edit this movie chronologically, and I'll watch it again, give it 5 stars. But
5-star film.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand Gladiator 2. Okay, guys, I thought it was kind of bad, but there's contributing factors. Okay, there's a story that goes along with why I didn't enjoy this movie. I'm gonna see Gladiator 2, right? It's one of the biggest releases. I'm excited for it. I like Gladiator. Mm-hmm. If you look at Joshua and I's ratings, we have the opposite ratings for the two movies. Okay, I have Gladiator at 4, Gladiator 2 at 2.5. Josh was the opposite. which is great content, you guys. I mean, can you even believe
perfect.
it? It couldn't be better. So I'm looking forward to this movie. I love Ridley Scott. Alien is inching its way up my favorite movies list. Ridley Scott. Love that film. Love him. Last Duel. Oh, I don't have time to get into that masterpiece. So I'm gonna see it, and it's Gladiator 2. It's like, it's kind of like a man core movie, like all the dudes are gonna go see Gladiator because like we did that in the 2000s when it came out, so we're gonna do it again. Not me, I was a babe, but every single millennial man I'm friends with is going to see this movie, and I'm invited to a big group outing to go see Gladiator 2. So I'm going. There's literally 10 of us going to see this film, and one of these guys, whoever is heading this thing up, decides to go to B&B theaters in Lee Summit, Missouri. B&B, if you don't know, is like a local-ish chain. It's not good, but so we get to the B&B in Lee Summit.
Nice.
And we walk in. There's literally 10 of us, just like 10 bros. We walk into this theater. There's literally no employees there. There's like nobody took anyone's tickets. Like we all have the ticket, right? Nobody's scanning tickets. We just walked in. Okay, we walked in straight to the concessions, got our snacks.
Nice.
I'm like, this is a little bit weird. I mean, I'm a little bit anxious about this because I am frightened of no checks and balances when it comes to keeping, the riffraff out of here, people with, potentially weapons out of the theater that I'm in. I think about it every time. It's a whole thing. I have problems with that. The show time is listed as 7:15, right? We walk into the theater at 7:20.
Yep.
We're 5 minutes into the movie already. I've missed the beginning of this movie. I don't know what happened. They forgot to play trailers, probably because there are no employees at this theater. The movie's already
just
going.
In the middle of the war.
Yeah, apparently there was like an animation at the beginning. Did you see that?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Did you see an animated thing?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I walk into Paul Mescal hugging his woman friend before he goes off to battle and she dies. Wife. So I walk into that. I'm like, this kind of sucks. I missed the first part of this movie.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
And I immediately notice that this screen is a little bit too dim, and this sound system is a little bit too quiet. I'm not okay with what's happening here. The theater's packed. Okay,
really?
I get to my seat, and it's at a very slight slant. Most theaters are like this.
Yeah.
Like this one's kind of almost level. So I can see the row in front of me very well. And this was the segue. The guy like in front of me and to the right is on his phone on Wikipedia, like on this movie, right?
Yep.
This dude's just full brightness Wikipedia Gladiator 2 in a theater with a bunch of people. I'm like, that's not fun. The movie is going. I'm like, this beginning action sequence is kind of balls. Okay, I'm not enjoying this at all. The projector is like pooping out. The movie goes on. Somebody's alarm is going off for like way longer than anyone has ever let an alarm go off. Like it's going on forever and nobody's doing anything about it. Dude behind me snoring. It's like it's chaos in this freaking theater, dude.
Oh goodness!
It's just absolute. Oh, it's so bad. And the movie goes on, and I'm like, yo, this is just, I'm not enjoying this at all.
That is
I'm not enjoying this at all. Denzel comes on screen. And
there
I'm
you
like,
go.
Okay.
I was just going to ask, when does Denzel show up?
Denzel shows up, and I'm like,
experience.
I'm here for Denzel's performance. So yeah, that is my precedent for how I feel about Gladiator 2. So anything I say about the actual movie, you can have that in the back of your mind. Maybe it wasn't as bad as I perceived it to be. All that being said, you had an opposite experience to me with the first Gladiator movie.
Yeah.
We both watched it this year for the first time. I thought it was pretty good. Gave it 4 stars. I'm like, this is pretty awesome. I see why people love it. But you didn't feel that way. Tell us.
I don't know. I sort of felt like, so I watched it on my big TV downstairs in the living room, all alone at night.
Nice.
And so like I knew that Russell Crowe was this general, Maximus Decimal Meridium, and he
Yes.
comes in, and I know he gets deposed or betrayed and becomes a slave and fights as a gladiator. This is the whole thing. And I know that Joaquin Phoenix is the emperor and goes like this. Sticks his tongue out one time. And, of course, the "Are you not entertained?" line. That is my extent of the knowledge of this movie, and that his wife is killed or whatever is also. And all of that happens in, like, the first 45 minutes of this movie.
Yes.
And so then there's still, like, an hour of more gladiator fighting, and maybe he's in love with this other lady also, and maybe he cheated on his wife, maybe.
Yeah.
And Joaquin Phoenix
Maybe.
is like super hardcore in love with his sister,
Yeah.
and is doing that, which is, very ancient Greece, I suppose. They were doing all sorts of things back then. And so I just like, I don't know. I felt like the movie had done everything I knew that it was going to do. And normally that would be like a exciting, okay, let's see where it goes. But instead of that, it was like, it didn't feel like it gave me anything more, because I was like, this is everything I was expecting it to have. And it did that. And that was cool. And then we just kind of kept going. And I knew, like, okay, we're probably gonna kill Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
And then what? I don't know.
Yeah.
The whole, like, I would have appreciated, like, more, like, the whole dream of Rome. It's so quiet, or it's so fragile, you can only whisper it, blah blah blah. That stuff interests me. I would be interested in, like, let's actually look at the policy positions. I'd like to, like, sit down and, like, let's talk about it. Let's learn what the dream of Rome actually is. We can learn about how they want to set up the system and the democracy and all this stuff that they had lost to Caesar and everything. And we just didn't do any of that. It was just gladiators and trials of men and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It didn't really feel like anything changed. And then he dies after he sits there and he says all these things. He's like, okay, this is what I want. This person's arrested. Get rid of this guy. Blah, blah, blah. I want a perfect world. And he killed the emperor, so everybody should be like, okay. And then he dies, and they're like, never mind. And 12 years pass, or however long, and then we get to the second movie, and it's the same movie.
Yes.
But with better effects and better action and Pedro Pascal. So I was just like, all right, this one's good.
I don't agree. I don't disagree with any of that. I think, Gladiator 2 is like, it is so much like the first movie, and it's the thing that the main thing I didn't like about it was just it was so referential to people are talking about Maximus constantly.
Yeah.
Like, Russell Crowe's character is referenced a million times in this film. Pedro Pascal has, like, nothing to do. Like, he just kind of, like, circles in rooms and, like, says things every now and then after his scene in the beginning, and then eventually when he's in the arena with what's his name? What's the character's name? Lucius. But, like, it felt like it was just, like, we're going from gladiator fight, have a little chat with our friend that patches us up. We go to another fight, go to chat with our friend, fight, chat, and then it's just over. It's just kind of over. Denzel tries to take over Rome, which was cool.
Mm-hmm. He pretty much did it successfully for a day.
His character was definitely the best part of the movie, and I left feeling like I really would have preferred you just further distance yourself from anything from the first movie and just did a new story with new characters, with Denzel's character being pretty much the same, just without any of the referential stuff from the first one. Just focus more on Denzel's character and Pedro Pascal's character, because I thought his character was pretty interesting, but they kind of like finish his plot line pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because they like find out that he's plotting Pedro is plotting to overthrow the emperors, but Denzel is also doing that, so he kind of takes that position at a certain point, and Pedro gets pushed to the background. Dies? Does he die? He dies.
Pedro dies, yeah. The difference being Denzel wants the throne. Right. Pedro wants the dream of Rome.
The dream.
Right.
Yeah. I also like the action was good and the effects were good, but like for example the part where they flood the arena is awesome and they're on ships and stuff. That scene felt like it was 2 minutes long. Like it just wasn't. It didn't feel like anything. Like they get on their boats and they crash into each other, and he shoots an arrow at the emperors, and then it's over, and that's all that really happens in that fight. I thought the rhino fight was good. The fight between Lucius and Pedro Pascal, his character's name, who knows? Yeah. Macrinus or something. I think that maybe was Denzel's.
I don't know.
But yeah, I was just like, I was bored, and there's these weird flashbacks to Paul Mescal's wife, and his mom is there too, and it's like Russell Crowe is your dad. Like people thought that Joaquin Phoenix was his dad, but it was actually Russell Crowe because sequel. And then it ends on that shot of him, the wheat field, and I was like, okay, eye roll.
Yeah.
I just didn't vibe.
I think I do agree that the self-referential stuff and all of the like, you guys loved the first Gladiator movie.
Yeah.
So we're gonna mention.
Are you not entertained?
Do you guys remember 2000 or whenever the first one came out? Do you guys remember
the tiger?
The horses on the armor, guys.
Yes. Do you guys remember? He grabs the dirt, you guys.
MF
he does
Doom
this
helmet.
With the dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that, and it definitely bogs the film down a little bit. I think it would have been cooler if it was Pedro and Denzel fighting for the after the twin emperors died.
Yeah, I redeemed my theater going experience a few days later on Thanksgiving Day when we saw Wicked with my eyes.
No one mourns the wicked. Night.
So Wicked we both enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
This was my first experience with anything Wicked. Okay. So
All
we
right.
have I know you've seen the show.
We saw the theater production. I saw the theater production for the first time this year as well. A couple months ago. That was my first experience. So I'm new to it as well.
Okay,
but Wicked has been something I have known about forever. Obviously, it came out in the early 2003, I think, is when the Broadway started doing that. Right. Kristen Chenoweth and Adele Dazeem.
Before Frozen, even. Yeah, that's crazy.
Idina Menzel. I was joking. Yeah. John Travolta reference. And so I've heard the music Defying Gravity my whole life. It's something my mom has always liked, and Caitlin, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It was like one of those things where, like, it's, pardon my language, it's a girly pop musical. And so I was like, I'm a boy. This musical has it's a musical, and B, it has cooties because it's for girls. So I never
it's girls.
Yeah, I never wanted to even subject myself to it because it was not what I wanted to be with. I was Star Wars. I was guns. I was spaceships, and that's cool. And so then last year, I think I'm gonna take us down a little journey here real quick.
Okay, take us.
In 2020, I started watching anime, and this opened the door for like more stuff that I feel like is more for a feminine audience, I guess.
Sure.
I started watching a lot more romance stuff, and I started watching like there were some. I was more open to musicals at this time as well. Like Hamilton came out.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it. I will see the production early next year though, which is exciting.
Okay.
And then I'll watch the Lin-Manuel Miranda original on Disney Plus. It's out there.
Yeah. It's a good time. It's a classic.
Sound of Music, I'm into that. So I was sort of starting to build this. I was more open-minded, building this repertoire. The Barbie movie, perhaps even, which isn't just for women, by the way. That movie has a strong message for men.
Whoa.
And like a sort of a check yourself movie for men.
Sure.
And so then I thought, let's go see Wicked. It's coming to Portland. It's right before the movie comes out. It's going to be great. And we went, and I had to share my glasses with Anna because she forgot her glasses, and we were sitting pretty far in the back. So I missed a couple scenes. But I liked it overall. And here's the thing. Defying Gravity is the pre-intermission song. You watch a musical,
Right.
and before the intermission, they're going to peak real quick to keep you hype for the second part. And so I thought Defying Gravity was the finale.
Yes.
So the song comes on, and I'm like, whoa, this is a short show. We're already done.
One.
And then no one left the theater, and I was like, oh no. And there's a whole another hour
and a half left.
Hour and a half of show. And
Dang.
so I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
The second half, it was rough.
I have no idea what happens in the second half.
Dude, it's actually
I've never listened
crazy.
past Defying Gravity.
It's actually crazy.
I was unable to avoid a few spoilers. I know kind of like a few of the tie-ins to the Wizard of Oz and such
things.
Which we did after I saw Wicked. I watched the Wizard of Oz on my new TV,
Right.
and it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Somewhere Over the Rainbow is an actual masterpiece song. But yeah, we saw the movie on Thanksgiving night.
Yes.
I was I was looking forward to it because I like musicals and I like John M. Chu, the director, who directed In the Heights, the movie, which I really enjoy as well. So I was looking forward to it for that. I thought the trailers were not great for me. I didn't really vibe with the trailers that much. I really wasn't a fan of the idea. It just felt so studio to split the show into two parts simply for the aspect of we need the movie to end with Defying Gravity. We need it to end with Defying Gravity. So we're going to make two movies instead of one and drag this first half out for 2.5 hours. Because it's a long movie. And it's just the first half of the show. So that's like any negative I have, I think stems from just like scenes feeling like really long and like aspects feeling really drawn out and rushing really quickly. Like once we get to the Emerald City, we're really rushing to get to Defying Gravity right now. And I thought Defying Gravity was like the weakest part of the entire movie because she starts like flying around and the VFX start getting real bad and her cape is like the size of the entire planet. And
I'm not sure what's happening there.
She's singing, but she's flying around in circles for some reason. Like she's not flying anywhere. She's just flying. And I just thought the whole set piece was
Gravity, man.
The song itself was like split up so much. It was paced terribly.
It was that was a big thing for me. Right
so
strange.
I thought they really just kind of botched the entire ending because I thought the rest of the movie was awesome.
Yeah.
I was actually like super impressed. I had no idea that it was like a we're going to Hogwarts type of vibe, like school, wizard school.
Yeah.
So I didn't know it took place there, and like the dancing through life number, like the set piece was awesome.
Yeah.
The part where they go
rotating
to the
library
Oz Dust and they dance together was incredible. And Ariana Grande is so good. Cynthia is also amazing. The first song, not the first song, but
The Wizard and I.
The Wizard and I, yeah, that she sings.
That's
by
the
herself
best song in the
I was
whole thing.
Yeah, I had never heard that before, and I was like, okay, I'm on your side now. I'm with you. Take me there.
Yeah.
Take me the rest of the way. And then it's like also animal racism. This poor goat is being
who is Peter
kicked out of school for some reason. Peter Dinklage. And I'm like, why are you guys so mad about her being green? Like, one of your teachers is a goat. Like, and you're so upset about her being green.
That's the other thing. And I'm going to talk about it in my year-end video, which I'm thinking about constantly, by the way. This has consumed me.
It's the best thing we do, I think. It's so fun.
Yes. Why? This is something I have been thinking about constantly since I watched this movie. Why do they not like her? Specifically because she is green.
She's gorgeous. What's the deal?
She's a pretty girl. B, the capital of the country is the Emerald City. It is a green place where everyone is wearing green, and everybody is painting their fingernails green and dyeing their hair green, and all the buildings are green, and the streets are green. And here comes she's a whole person, and she's green. Yeah. And it's awesome. And then you say, oh, well, they also hate her because she bullies kids with magic and throws things around. It's scary. Magic is rare, and the coolest people in the whole world are the ancient wizard guys who wrote this book. They worship the wizard, basically. And they love the wizard who does magic. So here's a green person who does magic. She should be the queen of the world.
Exactly.
And yet they hate her because racism.
Because racism, I guess?
I get it. It's ridiculous.
But I mean, overall, there's like nitpicky things and like whatever. But like overall, like it's a really fun time, and I think overall the production value was a lot better than I expected.
Yeah.
People are complaining about the color grading. Like I'm like usually the one that's like talking about color grading when it comes to like Marvel movies and stuff. I didn't really mind it that much until the end. Defying Gravity was the only time I was like, this kind of looks bad.
Yeah.
But I thought it was awesome. My first time seeing the story. The first half of it anyway. I have no idea what happens next.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait till next year. Hopefully it releases and doesn't get delayed into infinity.
Yeah, that would suck. I'd have to spoil it for you.
This movie is doing, gangbusters, as they say, in the box office. I mean, yeah, I think it's going to crack a billy.
I would be surprised if it didn't, to be quite honest with you. Here's a question. I think we're going to have
to... Go ahead.
Is this Cynthia Erivo's EGOT? She has an Emmy, a Tony, and a Grammy.
Does she?
Yes.
She just needs the Oscar?
She needs the Oscar.
She would have to win Best Actress, right? So
yeah.
I don't think that's
right. But people are like, they're going to submit it. She's going to win. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, if she wins and Mikey Madison doesn't win, I'm going to be pissed off for 2 whole years about because we already, Emma Stone, it was a good performance.
Don't get me started.
Okay.
Yorgos.
But
Yorgos retire. Okay.
Yorgos sick.
Get him out. I'm over sick. Get out.
It's funny because I don't know it, but people are like, she's gonna win the EGOT. She has to get it. I'm like, you guys are insane. This is insane. She barely acted.
I mean, she's good in it. She's good in it, but she's not She's not a Nora, okay?
Yeah.
We need to go to film school real quick.
I've already posted my review. I did it while we were
look
talking.
at it yet.
I'll do it.
Did you have it in the ready to go, or did you write it verbatim?
I wrote the whole thing over the course of multiple days in my notes app, and then I just copy pasted it in there.
So I haven't formulated a review, and I don't even know what star rating I'm going to give this movie at the end of this, because I'm looking forward to this conversation so much.
Okay.
So this is film school, everyone. We're watching Seven Samurai, a movie that is considered to be one of the most influential films in history.
Yes.
You're looking at Star Wars influenced by this movie. You're looking at A Bug's Life. Okay, those are the two examples I know off the top of my head.
Magnificent Seven.
There you go. So
Rebel
this movie
Moon,
directed by. Oh yeah, you're right. Actually, as much as I hate that movie, Akira Kurosawa. This is my first Kurosawa film.
Okay.
1954, 207 minutes.
Beautiful.
Okay. Let me set the stage for you really quick. I had started this movie many times in the past, okay?
Okay. Interesting.
I get to the part.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Boom, boom,
I get through
boom.
the credits. I love sitting through credits, honestly. I love overtures. I love the
Yeah.
music. I love the Japanese characters. It's awesome. But we open the movie with the bandits running in and them talking about how we just stole their rice last time, so we're going to wait a season and come back for their barley.
Yeah.
So we're going to come back at the end of this cycle. We're going to be back for their barley, and one of the villagers hears them and goes and tells everybody that, look, these guys are going to come back in a year. Or so. I don't remember how long it is.
Something like that. Several months.
And they're like all in a circle, and like this woman starts wailing. And at that point, I'm like, this is a really old movie, you guys. And I don't think I can do this.
It has to be
3.5 hours long. I cannot do this. So I had never made it past the first maybe 5 minutes.
Where they all just sit down in a circle together.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
So when we formulated this idea to start film school and go through these movies, I decided I need to give this film the best chance I can give it. I need a physical copy of this film. I need the best version possible. I went and got, because also right now you can get Criterion Collection discs. All of them are 50% off at Barnes & Noble. It's the perfect time to pick up the Criterion Collection 4K restoration of Seven Samurai. Wow. This is just the slipcover.
Oh, I see.
It's pretty awesome.
I thought you had two versions of it.
No, I just split it apart because the art's really cool. So I got that. I was like, why would anyone go leave their house and purchase a movie they've never seen and have tried to watch and haven't been able to finish? Why would anybody do that? Spend their money doing that?
It's a business expense.
But I just thought, it's a business expense. I'm writing it off. Yeah. I just really felt like I'm manifesting that I'm going to like this movie at the end of it, and I'm going to want a physical copy anyway. So like, I'm just going to get it. And so I was really, and I had just purchased a new TV. I have a 4K player. It's a beautiful 4K TV, 65-inch. I'm like,
this is going
to be amazing. So tell me about, before we go any further.
Okay.
How did you watch this film? What did you watch it on your phone?
No. No. I watched it on the monitor that I'm looking at right now. And I laid in that couch right there with Ramen-san.
Perfect.
And I had a blanket. And I got cozy. I had some popcorn. And I said, this is the way. I'm going to turn off all the lights. Close the door. It's going to be nice and dark. And I'm going to watch this movie. And I'm going to sit. And it was like 7. So it wasn't even that late that I was going to get tired halfway through and really want to stop, regardless of it being good or bad. I was like, let me get this started early so that I can get through it if need be. And
right.
So yeah, tell me about your experience.
From then on, okay, so I have purchased this, like, it was like $60, but it was 50% off, so it was only $30. So whatever. So I purchased this. I'm like, I'm going to sit here for 3.5 hours. I'm going to watch this movie from start to finish.
This powerful art piece.
So I start the movie, getting through the credits. I have notes here. My first note is just like the 4K restoration of this thing is just fantastic. A movie from 1954 in black and white should not look this good. It's like, I don't know if you took note of this or if you could tell, or if it was just me, just like this massive screen being 4K, like you can tell, like I thought all of these people were just bald and like had their heads shaved like they would in the time. Like the 4K, you can see the bald cap, you can see the tape holding it on, you can see the makeup caked on. It was just like exponentially more noticeable in 4K. I was like, whoa, this is insane. Like all of them are wearing wigs. It's super noticeable.
Yeah.
The resolution is crazy, guys. The specs on this thing are crazy. Okay. Dolby Vision, Dolby Audio. Anyway. So I'm getting through this thing. We have the setup, right? We have our boys. Let me see. Do I have their names here? I don't.
You got them.
I didn't go
in
that
the Google
far.
Doc.
Who's the guy? The guy who initially is sent out to go find the Seven Samurai. I don't remember his name.
Oh, let me see.
Rikichi, I think, something like that.
We gotta find out.
I don't want to open Letterboxd because I don't want to see your
Rikichi.
He and 2 or 3 other guys go out to another town and a close town to find where the samurai are hanging out. At this point, like samurai are kind of like a commodity, like they're kind of for show, right? You can find like they do samurai stuff, but they're kind of like they've like inflation has hit and they're like charging more now and like they're not as big of a deal as they used to be. But these farmers, it's their last resort. They know. They go to their like town elder, the old man, and he's like, we're going to need a bunch of samurai, not just one. We're going to need, or maybe he doesn't say that, but I think Kanbei says that later. He's like, the first samurai they talk to, he's like, we're going to need more than just one.
Yeah.
So we get to our villagers who are sent out on their mission are in the town. They are finding samurai. And I'm realizing how long this movie is going to be. Mm-hmm. I'm settling into the long nap.
Yeah.
All right. I'm like, this is going to be long. So we're essentially like, we walk around town. One of my notes is, where is it? I wrote, let's get the composer to write a few more songs, okay, guys?
Yes.
Because there's like 3 songs in this movie that the composer wrote and play over and over again in this movie. So the song plays, we're looking for a samurai, we find a samurai, we talk to him, he either says yes or no. We start looking for another one, we find him, we get him to come into our room, we talk to him, he says no. They eventually find Kanbei, the first one who agrees to kind of hang out with them. And then we do it like more and more and more times. I'm trying so hard to pay attention. I'm trying so hard to remember which of these guys is my main character. I think I get 30 minutes in and I turn it off. I'm like, I cannot do this right now. I'm like, this is terrible. I feel so.
Is that when you gave up and watched The Last Jedi?
Yeah, I think I put on The Last Jedi after that. I didn't even finish that because I was out of time. I had to go to bed.
Yeah.
So days pass. I'm like, I've committed to watch this movie. Like at a certain point, because Josh watched it already. He's logged it. I'm like, I have to watch this movie at some point, or I'm just gonna have to fake it and be like, yeah, I watched this movie. And so like there's a day I have a day free. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start this movie like where I left it. I'm gonna put it on and finish it. And I start watching the movie again, and I'm like, I have no idea what is going on in this movie. I don't know who any of these people are. And I'm like, okay, at this point, I'm going to punish myself. Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to do my due diligence. I'm going to start this movie from the beginning.
Oh,
And
snap.
I'm going to sit here for 3.5 hours. I'm going to watch this movie until it's over.
Wow.
Okay. So I'm like,
Intermission and all.
I'm back to square one at this point. I've watched 30 minutes of it. Long story short, I eventually finish the movie. The intermission hits. I take a dinner break.
There
okay?
it is.
I take a few
Stuff.
minutes of a dinner break because there's an intermission. And I do finish the movie. And I enjoyed it for the most part. Okay. One of my first notes is this does not need to be 3.5 hours long. This is a very long movie. You go ahead and tell me how you felt about the overall experience of the movie. Did you get through it? You got through it in your whole one seating?
Yes, one sitting. I'll even go as far as to say I fast forwarded through the intermission and kept going.
There you go.
In one go.
That's impressive.
I mean, I don't know how to explain it other than just going out and saying exactly what I need to say because I have strong opinion. If I'm being honest.
That's what I need your strong opinion about this.
So, do you recall last year, maybe even 2022, a favorite director of yours, Zack Snyder,
Snack
Snyder comes out and he's like, I'm going to make a Star Wars movie.
Yes.
And we were both like, heck yeah, let's do it. Rebel Moon.
Yes. I love Batman versus Superman, guys. I'm ready.
And I was like, Snyder. I hate everything I've seen from him so far pretty much, but
we'll give him a chance.
It's the Star Wars and let's do it. So this movie comes out on Netflix. It's however long. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. And Jordan said, I hate it. I hate it. And I've come around, I don't like it as much. And then this year, they come out with the 3.5 hour version of the part 1 and part 2. And the part 2, the original part 2, also came out in 2024. Will I be talking about all 3 of them? Maybe.
It's insanity, dude.
And so I sat down and watched the 3.5 hour version, had dinner, and then watched the second part, also 3.5 hours in one go. Because I'm a psychopath.
I cannot believe that.
And Jordan hasn't even attempted. I watched the original clips of us talking about Rebel Moon, and you said you were going to watch the second part, and you just didn't.
I'll get around to it. I need to start a Netflix subscription again, because I got to watch Arcane, too. I haven't watched the new season.
Arcane Season 2, dude. Get on it. And so, anyway, fast forward to Seven Samurai, the first movie ever made. The longest movie ever made.
Yes.
It is my Rebel Moon.
In a good way?
In a bad way.
Or a bad way?
Oh
no.
I don't hate it.
Yeah,
okay?
I feel you.
I will say I don't hate it.
Yes.
There is a level of craftsmanship in this movie that is undeniable.
Acting, even.
And yes, Toshiro Mifune. You'll see him when you watch Yojimbo, when you watch Rashomon. He is Orson Welles to Japan. Dude. I think is one of my notes description.
Mifune is on another level. Is he always like this? Is what I said. like I couldn't believe this guy. Like not even really even in a good way, but I was like, he's running circles around these guys. Like the things that he's doing and the facial expressions he's making, the way he's like, the way he runs and like the way he says his lines, it's insane. I was like, this guy he's on
crazy.
something. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think it feels like watching the rest of these actors act versus him. He's like, it's like he's in color and everything else is in black and white.
Yeah, that's so true.
He has this, he is so much brighter than everything else in this movie to me.
Yeah.
But there is like, you know, the cinematography, the direction, the acting, the editing, it is there, and there is a lot of high quality stuff there, but it's sort of a 3.5 hour movie. And like, I don't know. I've written a long review, I'll say.
Okay. Good.
And it spans multiple days of me writing because I watched it first, and you hadn't watched it yet, and then we canceled a recording session, and so I just sat on this movie for it's been almost 3 weeks since I watched it, and I've just sat in, and you know, I work a 12-hour shift from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Yeah. And I sit there and I think about movies while I work. It's where I get my best thinking done. If I'm not planning a D&D campaign, or pretending I won an Oscar and doing a speech in my head for something I didn't do, I'm thinking about movies and like rearranging my list in my head. Is this movie the best movie of the year? Is this movie the worst movie of the year? Going back and forth all day. And so I
Horizon
have multiple...
or Kinds of Kindness. Who knows?
Yeah, which one's number one?
Megalopolis?
Megalopolis? So basically my take is, I am sad that I don't like this movie and everyone else in the world does. Yeah. And furthermore, I am confused on why people are adore this movie beyond everything else, and why it has been adapted so many times. Or not Seven Samurai, but like, I mean, A Bug's Life, you mentioned earlier, is like almost
the concept.
There's a Star Wars: The Clone Wars
story
episode
structure
where Hondo is like trying to get these pirates to steal the spice.
Episode of The Mandalorian does it.
Yeah. I mean, it's been done to death. There's multiple Magnificent Sevens. There's the Chris Evans one, and there's an older one. That's the same movie. It's crazy. Rebel Moon is the same movie, where they get the band together to fight the oppressors to save the farmers.
The team together. Yeah.
And so it's just like there is this obvious adoration for this film, and again, I've talked about it. The craftsmanship is phenomenal. The way he moves everything. There's this something is always moving. The camera, the people. It feels very fluid. The attention to, like, he knows that he's filming in black and white, so he has to play with light more than color. So there's this extra level of skill that goes into that. And the movie is done well. It's even mixed well, which isn't something that you can say for any old movie. Like the rain is never too loud, which is always a problem in old movies, that sort of thing. It works. Everything works except for the movie plot. It's like, I could go down the list of the Seven Samurai themselves and just be like, bad character, bad character, bad character, bad character.
Yeah, I mean, there's really there's two that stand out to me. Well, I guess there's three that stand out to me. This guy, Kikuchiyu, which is Mifune's character, like he's obviously a standout.
Yeah.
Kanbei is like the first samurai that we get, and he's like kind of the leader of this team. And he kind of functions as like the older, wiser leader of this this group, and everybody kind of
The
looks to him
mastermind.
to make the calls. Yeah, he's interesting. The scene that we see him fight and get that guy out of his house that he's holding a kid hostage. Like that's a cool scene. And then this guy Kyuzo, I think he has the best scene in the movie where they stumble across this guy, this samurai, which is kind of, there's a Star Wars Visions episode that kind of does this, where like there's this guy, he's like, obviously the way he's essentially he's fighting with this other guy, and this other guy's like, we're gonna fight it out, you're gonna fight me, not with fists, with swords. And Kyuzo's like, I don't think you really want to do that, man.
Right.
And so like the three villagers, Kanbei, and I think Mifune is also there. They're kind of standing in the background with the crowd watching this happen. And Kyuzo and this other guy are like squaring up to fight, and they pull out their swords. And Kanbei's like after he takes a stance, that's all he does is take a stance. And Kanbei's like, this is ridiculous. There's no competition. The winner is obvious already. I thought that was awesome. And like he just like so easily just like whoop, dead.
It's very anime.
Yes. I thought that was awesome. His character Kyuzo was really cool. As the kind of the badass black ops kind of personality in the background, like quiet.
He
the
goes
guy
and
that
steals
gets
the
stuff
sniper
done.
gun down, the musket or whatever.
So I really liked him. The other guys just kind of blend together in my mind. There's the young guy that has that relationship with the girl in the village. Yeah. And there's that awesome shot where he goes and lays down in the flowers. Yeah. I'm like, that's a cool shot. It's a cool shot. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Doesn't really add anything to the story. It's just a cool shot. Yeah, I felt like once they all finally get to the village, which is the second half of the movie after the intermission.
Yeah.
Like, I like that movie when they're all there in the village, getting everything ready for the bandits to come to town. But the first hour and 45 minutes of them just kind of sitting around and waiting for Samurai to walk up, and I just feel like it just took so long. I mean, it's a literal hour and 45 minutes of this happening, filtering through Samurai and arguing with weird little street urchins and stuff like that. Yeah. I'm like, I don't really understand why this is so important. And we have absolutely no like perspective from the bandits. Like,
I feel like
this is
one of my biggest pet peeves.
I feel like normally a movie like this would like make actual characters out of the bandits. Like we would spend some time with them, maybe like figure out like who even are these guys? What is their ultimate goal? Like obviously they're just like pillaging villages and getting resources and stuff, but like they're just not really in this movie at all. And so like the second half, like when we're preparing for this big attack, and then once it happens, it's just kind of like we just kind of slowly like check people off the list, and like they just go from place to place, and like it doesn't feel like there's any tension.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one time I felt
own the bandits.
Yeah, they do. The one time I felt tension was when all of a sudden somebody has a gun. I didn't even know they even had guns in 1954. Right. I'm like, well, this dude has a gun, and that was like, okay, this makes
the movie takes place before 1954.
I know, right? I didn't even know they had guns back then. So I was like, okay, this actually just got interesting because we're not just swords anymore. We got like an actual added aspect of like we got to be more tactical because this guy, like they have like maybe 4 or 5 guns that we have to take out first. That was an interesting added little aspect. But I felt like I kept waiting for like a final showdown with like Kanbei and the leader of the bandits for them to like square up and like have a big like moment where like Kanbei just owns this guy and everybody cheers and whatever. And that just doesn't really happen. It's just like they all just kind of peter out and they all kind of leave, and then the village is like, great, the movie's over. I'm like, oh, this was 3.5 hours long of my time. And yeah, I felt the confusion as well. I was like, I don't really understand how this has influenced so many things because it feels so abstract and like just like it takes its time and I don't know, maybe people thought they could do this story better. But I just was really confused about like how did this happen? Like how did this become one of the highest rated movies of all time?
Yeah.
I like when he says, "This baby is me." It's like that line. Every time a samurai dies, they like bury them and they put their sword sticking up out of their grave.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome imagery. There's cool stuff like that, like the imagery, like you're saying, like the way this is made and the way it looks, and like some of the characters and their interactions is like really cool. And a lot of the samurai fights are cool and choreographed well. But yeah, I was just kind of, and maybe it takes a second viewing to like really soak it all in.
Maybe, but when will we find the time?
But I'm like, yeah, I think this isn't a waste, Joshua, because this is what we're here for.
That's right.
Okay?
This is film school. It's not
this
about
is the one.
It's not about loving everything. Yeah.
No, it's the first one we watched, and so the goal is, hopefully we get to the end of this entire journey, watching every movie that's ever been made, and we're like, wow, Seven Samurai is actually the best Samurai of all time.
Ended up being the best one.
So this is all, like, I feel like I understand the references now. Like,
yeah,
I feel like it wasn't a waste of time. Like, I get Akira Kurosawa, like why people like his movies in a certain aesthetic way. Like, okay, I see what we're doing here. But yeah, I think, let me just pull up the old Letterboxd. What was your star rating?
I gave this movie, well, initially when I wrote the review, it was 1 star.
Whoa, my goodness.
It's moved up to 2.5.
Okay,
but
there you go.
Because I finished this movie and immediately started writing like a crazed YouTube comment. I had beef with this movie because it took my freaking life away from me. But
oh man,
so there's a bit of rage in this. There's a bit of rage in the beginning of this review.
This is a long review.
Yeah, I'm mostly
the most disappointed you've ever been.
Yeah. It's the review mostly is the big paragraph in the middle is me listing off the 7 samurai and how they're either all the same or just non-characters entirely. How like my biggest thing is like this is a 3.5-hour movie with an incredibly simple plot. So it has to be a movie about the characters. Right? Yeah. Because otherwise this is the longest, most drawn-out plot that does not need to be as long. Like, the preparation and stuff, that's a montage. But in this, it's an entire other movie's length.
Yes.
And so, like...
There's an awesome...
so this movie has to be... It has to be about the characters. And so, let's talk about the characters. We have Toshiro Mifune, great character. He's, like, former orphan. He's an orphan. He's a former farmer who's been raided by samurai, blah blah blah. He hates samurai, but he also became one, sort of. He just has a giant sword. And he goes around, he acts crazy, he wants to learn how to fight with a sword, but he's pretty good at it also. And he's not an idiot. Like, he's stupid, but he's not an idiot.
Right.
And so he has this big rant about, he like kind of gets really pissed off at the samurai after they consider the idea of not helping anymore because the villagers had killed samurai in the past for some reason, which I don't know how, but they'd killed some samurai, and then the 7 samurai are like, maybe we shouldn't help these guys, they're not honorable. And he's like, you guys suck, I hate you guys. You guys agreed to do this, but
I brought you this cool armor.
Yeah, and all this, right? And that's the best part of the movie for me. That's why that's my backdrop is that scene.
His character is cool.
he steals the show for a moment. I was like, oh wait there's a movie, guys. But no, all 6 of the other samurai are absolute nothing burgers to me. There's not a single other character in this movie, in my opinion.
No.
Rikichi, maybe. But it felt, I was just so incredibly disappointed by the lack of substance outside of the craftsmanship of this movie. And so it just felt like I'm sitting there thinking like, man, in 7 hours of Rebel Moon, I learned so much more about these characters and like their backgrounds and what's going on.
Boy.
And it's colorful and it's bloody and it's awesome. Oh,
cut the recording.
You said that the action looked good. The action is absolutely awful. There's not a single moment in this entire movie where a sword connects with a body. There's not a single moment where a sword goes into a body. There's no blood. Everybody slashes and they go, the bandits all die and they all make the same noise. They go, oh, and they die. And it's the worst. It's the absolute worst thing I've ever seen. The choreography is just terrible. And I understand. There's no visual effects. They can't do special effects. There's no CGI. There's no fake blood. There's no point in all that. They don't do all that. But you watch Yojimbo, there's blood. He cuts off a guy's arm, and they do a Star Wars shot where they show the arm and the blood. And it's like,
sweet.
Heck yeah! You watch Harakiri, and this guy kills himself with a wooden sword. And it's horrifying to watch. It's absolutely disgusting. And it's beautiful in its own way.
Nice.
And then, but then this Seven Samurai is like, I'm expecting it to be the one with the good action because it's like the Seven Samurai. There's 7 of them. Surely one of them does something cool with a sword.
Yeah, no.
And not really.
Kyuzo,
maybe. The coolest thing he does is off screen. When he goes to the enemy camp and steals their gun. Doesn't happen on the screen. So I just got very angry.
Yeah.
So I gave it 2.5. That's my rating.
It's understandable, honestly. Yeah. Like, I'm not defending this movie at all. I was, I need to write a review still, but I left feeling like, I feel like I can revisit this in the future, but I don't think I'll ever watch the first half of this movie again. I think I'll just skip to the last half probably. It's just, I feel like, dude, there's like, cut this movie down to an awesome 90-minute movie and you got me. This could be an awesome 1.5 hour, 2-hour thriller. I mean, it's not thrilling. Don't get me wrong. It's never going to be thrilling.
There's zero tension.
It's boring. It's very sleepy. Zero tension. But I'm looking forward to where we go from here.
Yes, I've already watched the next one.
Did you? Are you officially choosing Rashomon?
Well, I had thought that we already decided that, so that's what I went ahead and watched.
Okay. I will watch it.
I know you watched a big movie. You watched Casablanca.
I did watch Casablanca.
And you rated it. I watched Harakiri before we started this whole thing. And that movie is one of the best movies I've watched this year.
Dang, dude.
Point blank. I loved Harakiri, and you can watch that one.
But I'll watch Rashomon. I honestly, after I watched this, I was like, I don't know if I can watch another Akira Kurosawa film.
Okay, let me tell you something right now. Rashomon is 88 minutes long.
That's attractive to me.
Yeah.
That is very I could put that on right now.
Yeah.
I could put that tonight.
There you go.
But yeah, dude, if you ever get around to Casablanca, we can absolutely do an episode on it because apparently it's the best movie ever made and it's the most influential thing ever to grace the screen. What are we doing?
Dude, old movies
I watched this movie and I'm like, you said the other week, you were like, I'm waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for something to happen in this film. I couldn't believe it. something about old movies, not even like I like some old movies, but some actors in old movies, like people back then, their facial structures and like it's weird. Like, yeah, his face is just not fun to look at. And the way like women are awesome. I'm a huge fan of women. Like thumbs up to women. Like women in old movies, like, and it's not their fault because they were treated terribly back then.
Of course.
By anyone making a movie, they were treating women awful.
In the entire world, all over the place, in any situation.
All over the place, all the time. And I'm just like, sometimes I just can't handle the way women speak in old movies. You know what I mean? Like the old-timey accents, the way women talk.
Yes.
It's not just women. I don't know why I'm singling out women. It's
the
way men
the
talk
transatlantic.
yes.
Well, I just don't know what we're gonna do today.
Yeah.
I love watching movies with my friend Jordan.
So
we're the Quarter Twins.
Is this movie? Are we bringing back Art or Fart, our famous?
I wrote that on
system?
there. It feels disrespectful to call this movie a fart. So
I know
we don't have to do that.
I can't go all the way to fart. Like, I'm not saying that this movie is bad. I'm just saying I'm saying I'm not ready for this, and that's what we're here for. We're here to learn. We're here to grow.
About it. Yeah,
I'm just not ready for it yet.
We're gonna watch old movies until we like Seven Samurai. That's the
yes. Until we like Seven Samurai, we will not stop this podcast.
That's right.
So, tell us. Get us out of here, Joshua. We've been here for far too long.
2 hours.
I felt like this was awesome, though. Yeah.
I had a great time. We talked about so much. It felt informative. I think we've squashed a little bit of beef as well. Perhaps we've had our little debates. Maybe not on the We Live in Time front. I'm glad.
Sorry.
I've been worried. I will say before we get out of here, I've been worried that Jordan was going to give this movie 5 stars. He was going to come in here and say Seven Samurai was the greatest feat.
I thought the same about you. Yeah.
And I thought I gave it away. I texted you something about it, and you were like, "Huh?" And I was like, "Nothing." But I totally thought that I gave away the ghost that I hated this movie. I don't hate it, but but I'm not a fan. To be honest, it does
seem on brand for me that I would be the one that would be like, "Wow, 5 stars, amazing film." Like, wow, I love the classics, but I'm not there yet. I'm not ready.
Thank goodness. Okay. We're not ready.
I'm not going to say
so.
I'm ready.
We're going to get ready. I've already seen Rashomon. For those who haven't seen it, it is a scene from 4 different perspectives, basically.
Right.
There is this of an event occurs, and there are witnesses and the people who lived it, and they describe how it went.
Yes.
And their opinions on things are different, and it's like a court drama almost.
Yeah.
And it's presented pretty well, and it looks good. It's Akira Kurosawa, so there's that as well. Is it the best one he's ever made? I don't know. Is it the worst one he ever made? No. But no. That spot is for Ikiru.
You hated that one, right?
Which, yeah, I didn't finish it, I'll be honest. Which probably is why I didn't like it. I'd probably come around to it if I actually finished it. And I will someday when we get around to it again. But it stars Kanbei, the guy who plays Kanbei.
Oh, good.
Is the star
of
that movie. You'll notice as we start to watch these Akira Kurosawa and the Kobayashi movies, it's the same guys. It's all the same guys. There's only 10 actors in Japan at any given time. So they reuse them over and over again. But it works.
Today we have Ken Watanabe and Sanada. We have those guys. Hiroyuki Sanada. Those are the only 2 Japanese actors working today.
And Hana Sawai. Shout out.
Oh my gosh.
She can be in everything. Freaking Emmy. She's getting that freaking Emmy.
As far as I'm concerned. I don't even like that show, but she is awesome.
I still need to watch the last episode. I don't know. That's the craziest thing to me that I didn't watch the last episode.
You reminded me of The Last Duel, which I didn't talk about, but I've heard of Rashomon most because it's referenced in discussions about The Last Duel, because The Last Duel is similar in that you have Adam Driver, Matt Damon, and Jodie Comer. And the movie is told from each of their three perspectives. So the first third is Matt Damon's perspective, second third is Adam Driver's perspective, and the third is Jodie Comer's perspective. And it's Ridley Scott's last great movie. I said in my review, the dude hasn't made a good movie since The Last Duel. You should definitely watch it at some point.
I'll get around to it.
It's a hard watch, but it's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
All right, guys.
Gotta go.
This has been the Quarter Twins. I am the savant of the silver screen, and that was the champion of cinema.
Yes.
We are out of here. Tune in next time to hear us talk about Rashomon in our second lecture in film school, and whatever else comes out. And then probably not another episode after that. Until we hit up our year-end videos.
Yeah, I was going to say it might be 2025 the next time we speak.
Yeah, so that's exciting. We'll see you guys in the next one. Cue the outro music fading in. 7 Samurai.
Just going to throw this away.
Probably just toss it.
In trash. Just kidding. It
was $30.
Glad I had it. It was. It was pretty cool. It's a cool package. All right, bye.
Okay, bye.